welcome to That's Absurd. Please elaborate. My name is Trace, and I am one of our hosts. If we were a pumpkin, I would be the left eye of the pumpkin, which is definitely triangle-shaped and carved into a jack-o'-lantern. And with me is the other eye of our jackal. Okay.
Oh, I thought I was going to be like the nose or something, right? But that's a very spooky, disfigured jack-o'-lantern. Ooh. Welcome to another episode of That's Absurd. Please elaborate. Halloween edition.
Spooktacular.
Honestly, so we did one of these a year ago, and it still might be my favorite episode.
Really?
Yeah, it was the one with the carnivorous horses and the decapitated chicken, if you remember.
I do remember. Wow.
It was like one of the funniest episodes I remember doing. Like, it was so enjoyable. So welcome back, listeners. If you're not a normal listener, normally we don't have spooky, organ music as our intro. So don't be thrown by that. And this is a science/comedy podcast where we take questions that are the more outlandish, ridiculous, absurd, the better. We field them from you all. We pick our favorites, and then we actually go and try and find the answers. So that's it. That's the whole thing. That's the whole bag. I don't know why.
I know that was an excellent, really, really good explanation of our podcast. Did you tell them your name?
No. I'm so excited for this episode. I forgot to say who I am. I'm Julian Huguet, the left nostril of the jack-o'-lantern.
Amazing.
We're good at this.
We're great at podcasting, you guys. Episode 57. We're doing great. Woo!
So good.
Well, with that, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I think this might be one of our best episodes of our entire run. Just based on how excited both Julian and I are. And also, just to be clear, I do not know what Julian's answer is going to be, and Julian does not know what my answer is going to be to the two questions that we have this week. Who, by the way, again, were sent in by you, the listener. If you want to send in a question, go down to the show notes. You can call us. You can leave us a voicemail there. You can text us. You can send us an email. You can go to our website, that'sabsurdshow.com/ask, and leave it there.
We've made ourselves very available. We've lowered the barrier to submitting questions quite a bit, so get those in. Trace, am I up first?
You're up first, pal. You got this. Happy Halloween. Congratulations.
Okay.
You're the trick to my treat. Let's. What question were you given today?
So this question comes from Kara, and Kara asks, would you have to run from a Godzilla-sized snail?
I mean, I
know.
What?
I know.
Oh, the level of mucus involved alone would make me want to run away. But
it's true. It'd be quite mucosal, and we'll get to fun mucus facts as well about snail mucus. But I just want to say, Kara, this one, question asking wise, bullseye, because I needed something kind of scary, right? My wife loves Godzilla movies, which means after, almost a decade of dating her, I now also love Godzilla movies.
Great.
And I happen to know the perfect person to ask, and we'll get to that.
Wait.
Yeah.
You did a journalism?
I did journalism.
Oh, I love it when we do a journalism. It's the best.
Vaguely resembling journalism. So, Kara includes some context. She says, I just saw a comic strip that had a giant Godzilla-sized snail destroying buildings. In the foreground, the people were screaming, "Walk for your lives!" As a short person, I've always had to move twice as fast as the tallies to be able to keep up, even if they were moving their legs slower than me. Would this effect be the same for a giant snail? Would we have to walk or run away from a Snail-zilla? A+, perfect.
Everything about it. The follow-up, the context, just great.
Yes. I found the original cartoon that Kara was referencing, by the way. Yeah, it's by Ellis Rosen, and he drew this for Alta Magazine. And I was going through his other works, by the way, and he has one that's just an absolute dagger to the heart for you and me. It's a guy, like, it looks like he's on a date in a coffee shop.
Oh, no.
And he's explaining to his date, like, it's a podcast about me and my buddy discussing movies. But the catch is, we also sort of joke around. And I'm like, oh, no. He's figured us out.
Oh, God. We're not unique at all.
Oh, no, we're not Hey, we do science. And as far as I know, there's only one podcast about movies.
Yes.
So he must be talking about our friends at the only podcast about movies. But anyway.
He must be. Yeah, definitely.
So back to Kara's question, though, right? I love it. It's such a perfect bullseye of things I love and needed to talk about. And I understand what she's talking about with this, like, short people life problem where they have to really motor to try and keep up with tall people. Like, my wife is a shortish person, and yeah, she's got to hustle. And the reason why is pretty easy to understand, right? Like, if you're shorter, your stride length isn't very long.
Yeah.
And so you've got to make up for it with more strides, right?
Yeah.
So you got to actually have a higher frequency of moving your little feetsies. And I looked into it, whether tall people have an advantage when it comes to things like, you know, a track and field competition. And it turns out, like the sprinter Usain Bolt, right, who's very
tall,
well known as one of the fastest people. Yeah, he's 6'5", or about 197 centimeters tall. But his kind of secret sauce to being so fast is, along with having that very long stride, he can move his legs at the same speed that, like, a shorter sprinter might be able to run.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I remember in track and field, I always thought, oh, I want to be able to do the sprints. You do your event, you're done in 10 seconds, you go sit back down.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
Those people running marathons are suckers.
And my coach was like, nah, you tall. You're going to do the long distance stuff. And I was like, no, I don't want to. And I ended up doing the mile and the 2 mile and the 1800, and it was awful.
Yeah.
And the hurdle. And I was always afraid I was going to hit my junk on the hurdle, so I was never particularly good at the hurdling.
I'm just seeing you running up to them and then gingerly stepping over each one.
Yeah, pretty much. Yep, I was bad at the hurdles. But yeah, most of the sprinters are very short. They're like short little...
That sounds like it was hard, but Did you get over it?
Several times. But yeah, a lot of sprinters are very short. They're like little explosions of, you get over this 10 seconds, you're at the other end, you know, but like tall is unusual in sprinting.
Because there's a drawback to having those longer legs is it takes a lot of effort to swing them at a higher rate. And you also probably have a taller torso, so you're carrying more weight, and that's a disadvantage. So like kind of the ideal sprinter is like all leg and then like a shortish torso. Yeah. Michael Phelps and some other record-setting sprinter whose name escapes me. I was looking into it, though. They're like the same height, but they're like, the belt is in like completely polar opposite places. If you're in like a character creator screen, you know, like the slider's all the way to one side for the other. Yeah, like torso length.
Bum, 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 bum.
Yeah, your little me. Anyway, let's get back to part of why I was so excited for this, and that is the fact that I happen to know somebody who might be able to answer this.
You called Usain Bolt.
Yeah, me and the Bolt are tight.
I just call him UB.
What up, UB? No. Dare I say, for me, I know somebody who I am much more excited to like actually email. No shade to Usain Bolt, but like, let me tell you about somebody named Dr. Jan Vendetti, okay?
Okay.
So Dr. Jan Vendetti is the Associate Curator of Malacology at the Natural History Museum of LA County.
Amazing.
And the Natural History Museum's Twyla Bratcher Chair in Malacological Research. Malacology, by the way, is the field that studies mollusks, which includes snails, slugs, gastropods. And her whole deal is snails and slugs.
Her whole deal.
My wife interned for her when my wife was taking biology classes, and she is, first of all, just the perfect person that you could want for like a mentor in the scientific fields. She is incredibly intelligent and curious and encouraging. I saw her speak, and like while we were at this little gathering of malacologists, she was like pointing out ammonite fossils in the marble floor, and I was like, oh, now I know to look for those. That's awesome. And she gave a talk about slug and snail depiction in pop culture and how they always...
You've talked about that on the podcast before.
They put the eyes in the wrong place instead of being at the end of the eye stalks.
Yeah.
They like put them on the body, and now like that drives me crazy too. By the way, Ellis Rosen's comic has the eyes in the proper place.
Good job, Ellis.
This guy cares about factual accuracy, we could tell.
Yeah.
And so I reached out to Dr. Vendetti, and she got back to me in like a day.
Amazing.
And it was incredible, okay? There was not a lot of time, by the way, between when I got this question and when we were set to record, and I was just like, if you've got the time, like, and she sends me this whole multiple paragraph thing where, first of all, she kicks it off. She says she did some calculations. Already that's going farther than I expected.
She did the math. I love it when they do the math.
Yes, truly, okay? So she started by looking at how fast some particularly quick snails can travel. And before you ask, yes, she told me which snails in particular she used for reference, and these were snails in the genus Euglandina, aka wolf snails.
Oh, cool.
Yes.
They named them wolf snails because, like, they can run real fast and attack in the packs and stuff.
Kind of. I don't know about packs, but they have, the eye stalks, like we talked about. They have a couple more tentacles with olfactory organs that other snails also have, which, by the way, Ellis's comic also has those, so props
Nice
again.
job, Ellis. Wow.
I know. And then they have, like, at the front lower part of their body, it kind of looks like little lips or like a little mustache spread out.
Ooh.
And they use that to taste as they crawl along.
Wow.
Because they are carnivorous, predatory snails that eat other gastropods.
Huh.
So they're looking for, like, the slime trail of other slugs and snails, and then they, like, sniff after them and hunt them down, hence the wolf snail moniker.
Huh.
And in order to catch them, they are fast, in air quotes, for a gastropod, which, by the way, talk about horror. Can you imagine, like, the nightmare of being a slug being chased by a slightly faster slug?
Oh, that would be
It's like that nightmare, right, where you're being chased by a murderer, but you can't run faster. It's like that the whole time.
And you move like 2 inches. It's a really long dream. All night you're dreaming about this. Wake up in the morning. What did you dream about, honey?
Crawl as fast as you can.
I was trying to get away from this wolf snail.
The wolf snail.
And it was coming for me.
Now I'm imagining another comic, right, where a slug like pops awake in the middle of the night. Like,
Well, I guess it'd be people at home can't see it, but you went and I feel like you need to do the like real monsters where your hands have eyeballs to be more accurate.
They like pop out of your head. And by the way, right, even if other snails try and hide inside the shell, like these wolf snails will like stick their proboscis in that shell and like pull them out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Terrifying.
Jeez.
They're a real problem where they've been introduced in some places like Hawaii and Tahiti because they're eating all the native snails.
Jeez, man.
Yeah.
Invasive species, the worst.
It's a problem. Okay, so the math, though. According to Dr. Vendetti, these faster snails, these wolf snails, they still only travel at about half an inch per second. So a shorter person like Kara, if you're about 5'2", you travel about 50 inches per second, or 100 times faster.
Got it.
So if we scale this snail up to Godzilla proportions, there's been some atomic bomb testing near some islands, and these wolf snails that have been introduced.
Sure.
They just grow to an incredible size because of, the power of the metaphor of the danger of atomic weapons.
I feel like you need to do that whole segment as with the transatlantic accent.
Oh, right.
like a newsreel, but for a horror movie in like black and white.
Okay, wait. Let me take my best stab at it. Ready? Tahiti, 1953. The U.S. allies are testing more nuclear weaponry because nothing can go wrong. Meanwhile, these little guys have been introduced to control the problematic slug population that's eating our sugarcane crops. Go get 'em, little guys. 2 months later, the totally unforeseeable has happened. Wolf snails have grown to the height of entire buildings. They're terrorizing downtown Honolulu. But don't worry, the battleship Arizona's been rearmed. Go get 'em, boys.
This has been World News Tonight.
Oh my word, is that a tentacle coming through the window? Unhand me, you mucus-covered beast!
Walk away quickly! This reporter is never going to look at them as the mollusks the same.
All right, so we've got our Godzilla-sized snail terrorizing Honolulu. If it's Godzilla-sized, right, if you Wikipedia say the height of Godzilla, it's typically, the size ranges from movie to movie, but let's say it's 350 feet tall, or 106 meters, right?
Got it.
Well, many land snails, their foot is about twice the length of their shell height. So our snail-sized zilla is 700 feet long, 213 meters.
Whoa, that's a big snail.
Yeah.
213 meters, jeez.
It's quite big.
Yeah.
If the speed of the snail doesn't scale with size, it would take 4.6 hours for it to cover one body length, right? But for a human to travel that same distance, we can cover that in about 2.8 minutes.
Yeah.
So if the speed doesn't scale, it's not even walk for your lives. It's like, I don't know, like get around to answering some emails you've been meaning to get to, and file your taxes, grab a quick nap, and then walk for your lives.
It would take hours for it to go what we can do in minutes.
Exactly.
Wow. Even though it's gigantic.
Even though it's huge. Now, if the speed does scale, oh boy. Okay.
Okay.
If we're going instead by the idea that, it covers its own body length in the same amount of time, well, a snail of normal size can do that in 4 seconds.
Oh.
So if Snail-zillas can cover 213 meters in 4 seconds, it would be traveling 192 kilometers an hour, or 119.3 miles per hour.
That's so fast. Wow. I'm never going to think of snails as slow again, because for them, they're moving, they're zipping
They're
along.
booking it, right?
Yeah. Wow.
Obviously, you can't run that fast.
No.
No one can run that fast.
Even our friend UB can't run that fast.
No, he tops out at about 27 miles an hour, so he's like 92 miles an hour short there, bud.
Yeah.
So Vendetti, though, she included a lot of caveats. She's not taking into account air resistance, friction, other limitations.
The gravitational, like the square cube law,
right?
All sorts of stuff.
And there might be some issues that arise with the snail's mucus that we mentioned a little bit. I did some digging on that we'll get to. But she says even if the snail is moving faster than 13 miles an hour, that's still quicker than most humans can run. So that's basically where she leaves it. She says, I don't really know one way or another. She says, by the way, also, that she contacted some aerospace engineer friends to confirm her math and the 119 mile an hour figures.
That's the best scientist guess ever.
She is the best. This is briefly a Dr. Vendetti appreciation podcast, I just want to say.
Right.
She's incredible. Also, for listeners, if you think Dr. Vendetti's cool, and you should, and you want to actually get involved with her slug and snail research, you can.
Whoa!
Yeah. You can make an account on something called iNaturalist. There is a iPhone and smartphone app, or you can go to inaturalist.org, and you can just use this app to take pictures of species that you find in nature and actually determine what the species is, right? You can get expert input, or you can help contribute to research projects. And Dr. Vendetti has an iNaturalist research project called Snails and Slugs Living in Metropolitan Environments, or SLIME.
Wow, I love that acronym.
It's
so good.
A really solid acronym. And she's using it to chronicle the gastropods around the, LA metropolitan area. And they've actually used this to identify invasive species at a garden and shut down the whole garden and try and control this invasive slug population. And like the guy who took a picture of this invasive slug and put it on iNaturalist got his name on a research paper. So get involved. That's my thank you to Dr. Vendetti for doing so much for me in such a short amount of time. She's great.
We'll put this information in the show notes as well. So you can just click and join right from whatever you're listening on.
Yes. So this is something that interests you listeners. Like, you can get on iNaturalist and participate in like real research as a citizen scientist.
That's so cool.
It is so cool. And it's kind of like Pokemon Go, but real, and doesn't confuse people on what evolution actually is. So I'm all for it.
It's a problem we've talked about before.
Yes, it is a pet peeve of mine. Okay. She gave me one last piece of insight, though, and she said that a snail foot moves via what's called a pedal wave, right? Pedal being like foot. And if you have the snail on like a piece of glass or fiberglass or something and you can see it moving, you can actually watch these little waves move along the body length of the snail. And so she sent me a little video that I'll share with you.
Ooh, I love videos. Oh, whoa. That's so cool. Okay, so we'll put this out if we can on our Insta. But essentially it looks like there's waves moving along the bottom of this snail in sort of the opposite direction of motion. So what makes me think is like it's pulling itself forward.
Yes, that is what surprised me, too, watching that video, is the waves traveling along the snail's foot on the underside of it. The waves are moving the same direction the snail's moving, right? So it's a direct wave as opposed to a retrograde wave.
Cool.
And I found some research that explains that better that I'll get into. But anyway, Dr. Vendetti concludes by saying she doesn't know if this would work better or worse as the size of the snail increases. She speculated there might even be some ideal size where the movement works most efficiently. And then, by the way, after doing all this work for me, she thanked me for asking an interesting and fun question.
What?
So, again, Dr. Vendetti is the best. Join iNaturalist, help her research. Thank you so much, Dr. Vendetti. You're incredible.
That's so nice.
Now, Dr. Vendetti at this point has kind of done all the work for me, and I sort of felt bad. So I couldn't call it done here because I haven't done anything yet. I sent one email.
You sent an email? Sometimes that's all you gotta do.
A single email. So I am going to attempt, though, to find some sort of definitive answer for Kara here. And caveats, unlike Dr. Vendetti, I am not an expert in mollusks. I am not a physicist. I am just a guy in a podcast who bores people in coffee shops when I bring it up, okay? So you know, all those caveats included. But I did some digging on how this pedal wave actually works and factors that might affect it. I found a ton of research actually on biomimetic robots where people are trying to use this same way that snails get around for robots because it's got some advantages on like the terrain you can use it on and the angle, you know? So even though it's like a really slow way of getting around, there are some possible upsides that might make it useful.
If you're not in a hurry, you're doing robotic, you're checking out sewers that you can't put people in, or, you know, there's all sorts of other really interesting stuff that you can think of. Soft robotics can be useful for, you know, getting places that people can't easily get is an easy one to think about.
Yes, exactly. That is one of the applications that was discussed. And then I also just found malacologists talking about how this works and trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And one thing I think is really interesting, going back to the mucus that gastropods use, is it's a non-Newtonian fluid.
Stop it.
Yes.
What?
Yes. Isn't that cool?
It is cool.
It's a naturally produced non-Newtonian fluid. So, Trace, you happen to be a recent kind of expert in non-Newtonian fluids.
Not expert, but definitely looked into it. And a non-Newtonian fluid. It is essentially has to do with how a fluid reacts to shear forces. It's either shear thickening or shear thinning. And a shear thickening one would be like oobleck or cornstarch and water, where if you press it and you give it like an impact, it will get harder. Or there's ketchup, which is shear thinning. If it moves, it actually decreases viscosity and flows more easily. So non-Newtonian fluids are very interesting fluids. Yeah, and we talked a lot about them in the last episode 56, that aired last week.
Yeah, go check that out if you haven't already. Shameless plug.
Yeah.
So the snail mucus is non-Newtonian, and it's shear thinning.
Cool.
So as this pedal wave propagates, what's happening is where the wave on the snail actually is, it's picking up its little foot, it's moving it forward, and then it's setting it back down again and relaxing it.
Whoa.
And as it's moving forward, that shear stress on the mucus causes it to become like a liquid.
Yeah, more flowy.
Exactly. So it can slide this little part of its foot forward and then set it down. And the Newtonian fluid then acts more like a solid again. And this non-moving part of the foot
can press on it.
Yes. And propel the snail forward, which is why it's so hypnotic, though, looking at it from underneath of like, how on earth is it moving forward with the wave moving forward? That's how the non-Newtonian mucus is kind of like the secret sauce. I found
so cool
some robotics papers where they were trying to mimic snail pedal waves in different ways. And, for one robot they made, if it was just on a solid surface, it would move retrograde from the direction the wave was going, and then if they put like a non-Newtonian fluid underneath it, it would move the same direction as the wave. So I thought that was really fascinating.
That's so neat. Ugh.
Yeah.
Science is awesome.
It is. Malacology. Shout out to malacology.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, and the mucus has other useful purposes too for slugs and snails, right? It helps keep them from drying out. It sticks them to the surface so they can crawl at crazy angles, or like, for the snails and slugs that live underwater, like they can still latch onto stuff and not get blown around by water currents and stuff like that. Yeah, so shout out to mucus also while we're at it. Hooray, mucus. So I did some research, though, on how these pedal waves might affect the snail based on size. I found a paper saying that, like, actually the snail or slug size doesn't really seem to influence the actual speed that the snail or slug can travel at. And then I found a paper called The Mechanics of the Adhesive Locomotion of Terrestrial Gastropods in 2010.
Sounds perfect.
And I was like, this is exactly what I'm looking for, right?
This is it.
Boom.
Julian, we've made it.
Bullseye. And yeah, they observe a bunch of different snails and slugs crawling along, and they measure like the waves' speed and wavelength and frequency. And they do find a positive correlation between the wavelength and the speed that the gastropod moves. So I'm thinking, okay, if you just take your, again, power of the metaphor of the dangers of nuclear warfare, and just scale up a snail to Snail-zillas sizes, does that mean that the wavelength would get longer, right? We're breaking some laws of biology because basically, if we're scaling the cells up, there's a reason cells are so small.
Yeah.
But we're going to ignore that because we're in magical metaphor land.
We're going to do magical Ant-Man style where the cells are the same size and somehow the atoms are further apart and everything still works.
Sure. Yeah.
Somehow. Yeah, magic is cool.
Right?
Yeah, interesting.
Well, then your wavelength is going to get bigger, right? If you have like the same number of waves going across Snail-zillas' body, but the body is much longer, then your wavelength is longer. Also, your wave frequency should stay the same, right? So frequency is how many waves pass a certain point per second, right?
Yeah.
And we're assuming that this Snail-zilla is still sending off these little pedal waves propagating through its body at the same intervals, right? Well, just by the math of the speed of waves, that means the waves are traveling faster.
Oh, okay. Well, good mathing then.
Velocity of a wave is wavelength times frequency. Pretty straightforward. So frequency is the same, wavelength goes up, velocity goes up. So I did a little bit of math, and I said, okay, looking at this paper that I found, there's a 50 millimeter long snail, like Vendetti talked about, right? The 2-inch long snail. And it's got about 20 little waves propagating across its body. And it's different from species to species. Okay. So with 20 waves, that means the wavelength is 2.5 millimeters. The frequency, according to this paper, a typical frequency could easily be 1.5 hertz. So that's about 3.75 millimeters per second is the speed this wave is traveling. And then the wave, as you can see in the video, travels faster than the actual gastropod does, right?
Yeah.
So there's a ratio, and it's different from species to species. Like banana slugs, which are bigger, they move much slower than the waves, like almost 5 times slower. But a smaller slug that they looked at, a garden slug, that wave only travels about 2.6 times faster than the snail itself.
Interesting.
So if I take that number that I calculated and divide it by that ratio, 2.6, I get this slug or snail traveling at 1.3 millimeters per second, or about half an inch per second, which is the speed Vendetti had quoted me.
Got it. So you kind of double-checked to make sure that you're on the right track. I like
Yes.
that. I do that too.
And again, I am making a lot of assumptions, you know, like I'm going with mean wave speed because like the waves can speed up as they travel across the body and in a lot of species. And anyway, clearly we're in assumption land here.
Of course.
Now, we're scaling up to Snail-zilla.
Okay, Snail-zilla. Dun, 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 dun.
Its foot is both 700 feet long and 1 foot long. If you think about it. Because it's just one big foot.
Okay, one. No, it's not Bigfoot. It's a snail.
Oh, you're right. Well, I don't know. I think it should take the title, right?
Yeah, given the choice. If you put a tiny little primate-esque with like a size 12 next to this, you'd be like, which one's Bigfoot? I think everybody would be like,
oh my gosh,
it's got one giant foot. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong
T-shirt
here.
idea now of like a huge snail in the Pacific Northwest, and it's just like the real
Bigfoot. Hunt for the real Bigfoot. Wow, jeez. If there's a T-shirt designer in the audience, we have so many ideas.
We have many ideas. And it just says like, I still believe on the bottom. Okay.
Oh, I still believe, but with the eye stalks?
Ooh. Okay. So we've got a 213 meter long foot now. We're still assuming it's 20 waves because our slug has just
magically scaled up. Yeah.
Right? Our snail, I should say. So that means the wavelength is 10.65 meters.
Whoa.
Multiply that by 1.5 hertz, like we're assuming, and then divide by, that ratio for wave speed to actual slug speed, and I get 6.12 meters per second, or about 13 miles per hour.
What?
Which is about as fast as a typical person can run.
Oh my gosh! You would have to run! That's a very fast snail!
And you would know what it's like to be a wolf snail's prey. You actually would know that feeling.
I don't want to know that. I don't want to know it. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. But if you had a bicycle, you could get away on a bicycle then.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd
be good.
Probably a good idea.
Just get a bicycle.
But you're trapped on this island with it, though, on Honolulu. Where are you going to go? This is why invasive slugs are a problem. This is the real reason.
So now imagine you're trapped and you can't escape. That's what it's like for all the things that the wolf snail is eating.
Boom. We brought it back to a conservation message.
Amazing. Oh, my gosh.
So thank you, Cara, for submitting that question. Again, huge shout out to Dr. Vendetti of the Natural History Museum of LA County for being such a huge help. Check out iNaturalist if you want to get involved in research of other scientists like Vendetti, or, you just want to take pictures of stuff in your environment and then, find out what it is. That's pretty cool. Yeah.
With that, then, let's take a break while we all kind of relax and try and not dream horror dreams about a giant snail that can move as fast as you can run.
You can never relax. It's coming. It's always coming.
Slowly, but not even that slowly. Julian, give me your best dinosaur roar.
Oh, God, an asteroid! It's horrible!
Wow, that was not where I expected that to go. We're popping in before the show to tell you about I Know Dino. It's a dinosaur podcast.
We think of those dinosaurs being this thing that's been dead for tens of millions of years. Even so, studying dinosaurs can still teach us stuff that is relevant to the world today.
Yeah, like climate models to help us understand global warming.
Migration patterns of dinosaur lineages, they tell us about Earth's changing continents.
We can also study dinosaur diets, what plants lived then, and maybe what animals and how they interact.
And, this is super cool, many dinosaur injuries, paleopathologies, they're the first known occurrences of diseases.
And they talk about all this kind of stuff on I Know Dino. It comes out every week with new dinosaur stories that you're not going to hear anywhere else. Like, I hadn't heard of a lot of these, which is pretty cool.
You can find I Know Dino on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever podcasts are. And if you found us, you can probably find them. Go check them out. Hello, and welcome back to That's Absurd. Please elaborate. I hope you relaxed, but not for too long, lest Snail-zillas come. Trace, what is your question for this spooktacular episode of the show? Spooky.
Well, my question this week comes from Emily. And even though she initially said she didn't want to send in a voice note, she sent in a voice note. So here is Emily's voice note.
Oh, thanks, Emily.
Hello, this is Emily A. And my question for you is, what does the Tooth Fairy do with all of the teeth? The Tooth Fairy is paying money for the teeth, indicating they have value and are worth traveling to collect. So why does the fairy want them? Why are they so valuable, and why aren't people utilizing this resource? Why do baby teeth have value, but not adult teeth? And what quantity of teeth does the fairy have at this point? Is it at planetary body size yet? I'm very excited to hear your take on this question. Thanks.
Oh, it's true, right?
Yeah.
The Tooth Fairy's just like a middlewoman for this tooth market, apparently.
Yeah, the tooth market, the great tooth market. So, in honor of this, I've come up with a business plan. Welcome to this year's Fey Crunch Disrupt. I'm glad to see that the Venerable Oberon is here in the audience. Is that Flora out there? I hope Aurora's doing well. And, of course, Miss Bell, the Tinker, the honored that you would come to our presentation today.
Everybody clap for Tinkerbell.
So I just want to thank you all for coming today for my new business plan, which I am calling the Tanfei Umbric Odontal Transportation and Harvesting Services, also known as TOUTHS.
Great acronym.
Thank you.
As we've established, this is important.
And in case, you want to break that down, umbric, nighttime or darkness, and odontal, pertaining to teeth. Tanfei is actually what you would call a tooth fairy, initially, like in the 13th century. Because back in the 13th century, when my great-great-great-great-grandmother started this business, we had to deal with hazard pay for battlefield work in every major Western nursing home. A few hundred years ago, I took over this business, and it was about adults. But now I know it's about the kids. According to our partner, teeth, they aren't what they used to be. Currently, right now, there was recently a survey done by the human company Delta Dental, and tooth value has dropped 6% from 2023 to 2024, down from $6.23 a tooth to $5.84 a tooth. Now, you'd think that would be good for my business, but it's not, because if it continues at this rate, our teeth will have no value. So we at the Tooth Fairy Company have a solution, and we welcome your investment into TOUTHS. Our goal is to use the Fey workforce to acquire and transport human bio-waste byproducts, namely teeth. We also then will provide micropayments direct to the producers of said teeth, medically process the dentin and pulp contained within the teeth to create viable IPSCs useful in the medical field, and redistribute that for profit. Please, 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 please invest in our company. Thank you.
Wait, under all the hilarious jokes, that sounded like an actual use for teeth in there.
You picked that up?
Yeah. What I'm getting at is, and also, adult teeth used to be more valuable. Was that a bit of fiction, or is there some history there?
Nope.
What?
Nope. Yeah. So let me tell you a bit about the Tooth Fairy, and then we'll come back to if you in the audience have picked up on exactly what I said that is like, what? I hope you did. If you didn't, that's okay. We're going to come back to it. So, for people who aren't aware, the Tooth Fairy, or Tanfei, dates to the 13th century. It's likely an origin in Slavic or Germanic cultures. The Vikings may have even paid their children for shed teeth. But there's an alternative in the United States where you would put a tooth pillow on the door handle so the Tooth Fairy can come and get the tooth that way. But alternatively, in some places, they put the tooth in a mouse hole, or have a rat or a mouse come to get the tooth, and that rat or mouse then would give them some kind of gift. So bottom line, some cultures keep teeth, some throw teeth away, some just burn them, sometimes for ceremonies. And in China, a baby tooth from the upper jaw is to be thrown under the bed or buried, and then a baby tooth from the lower jaw is to be thrown on the roof, and this will ensure a new tooth will grow quickly and straight into the hole that other tooth left behind. Again, that's not a viable business model for tooths, but that's okay. Some ancient cultures will even put teeth into a tree, which was unknown to the person. This one was wild to me. They would take the tooth that had fallen out, they'd put it at the highest crook between the highest two branches of a tree and kind of like embed it into the tree. That tree would then be connected to the person who the tooth had come from, and then they would hope the new tooth would grow straight. And if the person died, the tree was burned in a ceremony. Also, the person whose tooth was in that tree was never to know what tree their tooth was in. It was like a mystery to them their whole life.
Is it like a curse if they go and find it or something?
I don't know. I didn't really look into that, but...
First of all, absolute nightmare fuel, the idea of a forest of toothy trees.
Yeah, that is very... In 1908, the Chicago Daily Tribune wrote about the tooth fairy coming and getting things under the pillow and replacing with a little gift, often, something from the 5-cent counter, they said, in 1908. I reached out, I also did a journalism, to Claire Casely, the fairy whisperer. And she was too busy to directly talk about this, but she pointed me to the British fairy folklorist John Cruce. And Americans think of fairies as these small, winged creatures, but John Cruce says that fairies like that could only have come from America, because of our conjunction of different ideas that all came about in the 19th century and all from these different European traditions. They would all mix together here in the U.S. and we'd end up with this tiny, winged, friendly fairy or fae.
That's running a business.
Yeah, in this case,
does seem very American.
Is running a business. Or, in the case of Miss Bell, is the spokesperson of a giant multinational conglomerate. And then, worldwide, there are customs about milk teeth, primary teeth, but also secondary teeth or adult teeth. And that's where you called out, wait, adult teeth? And it's like, yeah, there are actually cultures where you would knock out a tooth, or if you lost a tooth. Most places around the world, or most of the cultures that I could read about for this piece, they all have this thread, which is you are connected still to the tooth you lose, that it's somehow like important to you. And so if you knock out a tooth, you would go and do something with it, either bury it, you would burn it in a ceremony. Like I said, you might put it in a tree, you might like send it to somebody. Some people would gild it and wear it, like all sorts of different things. But nobody was like, whatever. Everybody understood that these were important, which I think is pretty cool. And then let me walk you through the product that we at Tooths are going to have to deal with. So there's the primary teeth and the secondary teeth. And everybody knows about secondary teeth. They're boring, very, whatever. 4 incisors, 2 canines, 4 premolars, 6 molars, 32 teeth. The primary teeth, though, those are cool. Once a young human gets to the age of 6, the primary teeth start to loosen, and by the age of 13, they've typically all fallen out. So that gives us a pretty good window to collect all of their teeth for use. The primary teeth, also known as the deciduous exfoliated baby or milk teeth, or as I like to call them at Tooths, practice teeth. Primary teeth aren't as sharp. They're generally smaller than secondary teeth, and each human gets 20. That's 4 incisors, 2 canines, and 4 molars. Think of the opportunity there. 20 per human. That means, if you do the math, there are 3.66 million babies born every year with 20 teeth each, and every few years that means 70 million tiny teeth are lost, with an average tooth mass of 0.5 gram. Baby teeth are smaller, but we're going to assume a volume of about 0.5 cc per tooth, though that's probably overestimating, which is good for packaging purposes. That's 35,000 liters of teeth, weighing 35,000 kilograms. Roughly.
Wow.
Yeah. Even assuming if we miss half of this product, because it just depends on the workforce, some of them are swallowed, some of them are lost. Sometimes our tooth retrievers don't, they go there and there's not under the pillow. So even 1,700 kilograms of teeth, that's 20 hot tubs of teeth
Is that what we're using them for, or is that just for measurement purposes?
It's just for measurement comparison purposes.
Good.
That's 2 times as heavy as a fully grown T-Rex. Every year in teeth collected, 300 beer kegs, 30 cows, more than 1.5 concrete mixing trucks of teeth in both mass and volume. That's a lot.
It's
not a lot, but it's a lot of teeth. And that's annually. So 10 years of teeth is going to be 200 hot tubs of teeth, 15 concrete mixing trucks, 100 years of teeth. Over time, obviously, the number of babies increases, but 100 years of teeth at current rates, you're looking at 150 concrete mixing trucks of mass in teeth, or roughly 1.75 million kilograms of teeth. It's a lot of teeth.
Okay, but right now, we're at the stage 1.
Yeah.
And I'm still stuck on stage 2, which is all question marks, before we get to stage 3.
Please, tell me your question. What do you mean? What is stage 2?
Yeah, hey there, Jimbo from Freelance Fairies Associated Alliance, or FAE. I'm just trying to figure out here, what do we do with all them teeth? Yeah.
Well, Jimbo, I'm glad you asked your question. Really important question. As you know, if you are here at FAE Crunch Disrupt, you know that there are other companies working on other pieces of human bio-waste. For example, I don't know if you went this morning to the Human Baby Foreskin Collection Agency.
Of course, never miss it.
It's really they have a great happy hour. It's often discarded as medical waste, foreskin, but in the last 25 years, it's become an in-demand medical science resource because it contains...
Yeah, that's why I've been keeping them in my hot tub. My wife said I was crazy, but I told her I had a hot tip.
No pun intended there. Oh my God. So human foreskin contains fibroblasts, also known as HFF, human foreskin fibroblasts, that can boost collagen production, can also be used to make epidermal growth factor, or EGF, which was discovered in the 1980s. It's useful for wound therapy. The chief science officer at a company trying to use this medical resource, according to Discovery Magazine in 2021, 1 square of foreskin, don't ask me how they make it square, can be cultured to make several football fields worth of fibroblasts. Yeah. So foreskin is used to help fix damaged eyelids, foot ulcers, webbed digits, like in direct surgical application. But you can take those HFFs and convert them to iPSCs, induced pluripotent stem cells, or as I like to call them, induced STEMIs. So these STEMIs can be turned into all sorts of different things. If you're aware of what stem cells are, they're essentially, you revert the cells to an earlier stage in their development so you can coax them to turn into other cells like liver or muscle or neuronal/brain cells. So we want to do something similar at TOUTHS because teeth don't seem like a very resource-rich product, but typically when you take them out, let's say you go to the dentist, you're a human, you go to the dentist, you get your teeth removed, that tooth is suspended in solution and sent out to a biohazard material destruction company. They just destroy it. They're sitting on a gold mine. Tooths are really important. Well, sometimes they actually do have gold, and those are sent to a different place. The gold is removed, and then they're destroyed. Or they have amalgam, which contains mercury, so that's a hazard. So they take that out, and then they destroy it. By the way, the gold thing, shout out to Rumpelstiltskin. Bro, that was super successful pivot.
Big round of applause for Rumpelstiltskin.
Good old Stilts. Love that guy. He's buying later. It's been a big year for him. So anyway, that pulp, especially in primary teeth, gold mine. Working from the outside in. You know how a tooth works, right? You've got enamel, hard outer coating. It's inorganic. It's the hardest thing that the human body makes. Then there's dentin. It's the middle layer. It's similar to bone, softer than enamel, and it's kept alive by the pulp, which is the soft, juicy center of your tooth. It's the middle where the nerves and blood vessels are, and that dental pulp can be used, just like the foreskin, to make iPSCs. Making some induced pluripotent STEMIs.
That is cool.
Isn't that awesome? So they actually call them human immature dental pulp stem cells when they come from primary teeth specifically, which is to say the teeth that fall out that TOUTHS fairy workforce will collect. So something about iPSCs. I want to be honest, they sometimes have issues converting them into good cells. The yields can be problematic. The DNA damage from UV exposure, if you're using skin cells or something like that, I imagine, can be problematic. They have problems with epigenetic memory, which really actually pretty interesting, like methylation from the DNA inside of the cells. And so when you try to convert them to induced pluripotent stem cells, they don't work as well. But when it comes to teeth, inside the teeth, you get these HIDPSCs, human immature dental pulp stem cells. And they can be used to form neuron-like cells. Odontoblast, osteoblast, adipocytes can be used to regrow bone, help repair damaged teeth, create bone-dentin combos. It's a huge medical resource. And in 2019, a study in Biomaterials found it's estimated to cost about $50,000 to generate a clinical-grade iPSC for a single patient, and up to $800,000 to make a personalized clinical-grade iPSC-derived cell product. But we at Tooths, we have a magical workforce. So we avoid the pitfalls of traditional medical industry.
I see. Like most innovative, industry-disrupting solutions, your whole approach is just like, we're going to work our workforce at a literally impossible to achieve for a human rate. I got it.
Okay, wait. Hang on. I get it. I understand that you're skeptical. But we are not susceptible to human afflictions or infections. So even though it's a biohazard to handle teeth for a human, for us, we're fine. The diseases don't jump to us fairy folk. Also, we can enchant items to transport the teeth. We can teleport magically from place to place. So we don't have to be working super hard, running all over the place, driving those trucks around. We don't do that.
Saves a lot of logistics.
Also, we fairies, invisible to humans. We're invisible, so we can just work anytime we want.
Yeah, security means nothing to us. The home security system? Ha! Joke. Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Get around that. So current micropayments for teeth as of 2023, again, $6 per tooth, down from last year. Competitors pay in Fey Gold, which disappears when you attempt to use it. We're waiting for a scandal there. Let's not talk about it, Jeremy.
Don't worry, we're moving to crypto. Cryptic currency is what it is.
Cryptid currency, my favorite. So we'll pay more in the $1 to $5 US area, depending on the metro area, and we'll use magic to determine if humans discussed pricing prior to Tooth Fairy pickup. But either way, cost savings on logistics and transportation using a Fey workforce is significant. So let's walk through the business plan for Tooths before I wrap up here. I'm getting the flash that I'm almost out of time. So if Tooth Fairies are involved, the Tooth Fairy will get notified of a new tooth on the market when it first becomes wiggly. We've got AI that is working together with our magic to end up with a very early on understanding of whether or not a tooth is wiggly. And so the Fey Centers for Disease Control will call our company and say, there's a wiggly tooth in Minnesota or whatever, new Western teeth coming down the pike. And then we'll come back to that and get those teeth. Well, they are a biohazard for humans, but they're not for us. The Fey collects, reimburses with a cash micropayment. We can even do PayPal and Venmo, bro. It's no big deal. We got workforces that are magical. They can collect millions of teeth in a single day. And honestly, we do wear gloves just for safety. You don't know where that tooth's been. People are gross. We're fairies. We don't want to. They smell. It's weird. Humans are weird.
Have you seen what kids put in their mouths?
Yeah, weird. So from there, we use our state-of-the-art facility to magically turn them into induced pluripotent stem cells, and then we use our shell companies to sell those back to human businesses. And you end up with real, actual money. Rumpelstiltskin, in your face, buddy. We're going to make so much money from this. I just need a bit of investment to literally get off the ground because I broke one of my wings when I was a little kid, and I never made it off the ground. And I know that story was supposed to be part of this and make you feel bad for me, but that's fine. Either way, thank you. Fey Crunch Disrupt. Enjoy the sweets we put out. No, but seriously, they'll give you cavities. Don't do that. Anyway, thanks again, everybody. So, that's it. That's my...
Amazing.
Tooth Fairies.
Amazing.
So what did Tooth Fairies do with the teeth? I don't know. But they could turn them into induced pluripotent stem cells because that is currently being researched, which is pretty awesome.
That was great. Thanks, Trace. I also feel so inspired now to get involved in startup culture. Ooh, boy.
Yeah, I've never done that before. I actually wrote that I made a deck, but then I never actually made the deck because this is a podcast. Next slide, please.
You even talking to the operator like, no, one back.
No, go back one. Go back one. You went too far.
No. Oh, wonderful. Well, thanks, Trace.
Emily, I hope I answered your question. There was a lot there. And to be honest, I was surprised. Most cultures just throw the teeth away or have some ceremony with them. But dentists just burn them, just destroy them, which I think is fascinating because they can be used for stuff. And we're just now starting to learn that they can be, which is pretty cool.
Still also really interesting to me that, like, multiple cultures have some sort of rituals around tooth loss and regrowth. And I don't know. Humans are funny that way. I just think,
Yeah, we're not as different. Even though the actual specific rituals are somewhat different.
Right.
You know, we all tend to be like, that's an important thing. And we should mark that important moment in this, like, life of a young person, which is pretty cool.
Very, very cool. Well, with all that said and done, I hope you all had a very spooktacular episode. And enjoyed this one. This episode of That's Absurd, Please Elaborate was created, written, and produced by me, Julian Huguet.
And me, Trace Dominguez.
Produced and edited by our wonderful friend and fellow tooth hoarder, Kyle Sisk. Additional editing for this week's episode done by Snail Fairy Sam Grant. Special thanks to listeners who submitted questions featured in this episode, Kara and Emily. If you would like to submit a question, look for the form in our show notes. You can email us at hello@that'sabsurdshow.com. You can visit our website, that'sabsurdshow.com/ask. You can call us 302-TAPE-SHOW, TAPESHO. And if you want to get involved in selecting the questions, you can join our Patreon. No matter what tier you subscribe at, you can vote on questions that we will use in our episodes because there's just so many good ones. Sometimes it's really hard to pick.
Also, please leave us a review wherever you're listening right now, whether you're on Spotify or Apple or somewhere else, on Nebula. Wherever you're listening, go somewhere and leave us a review, please. A star, a heart. If you really want to add some words, that helps a lot. These reviews tell people who haven't heard of our episodes that they're worth taking time to listen to. And you know what? If you want to go the extra mile and maybe you've already left us a review, tell a friend about the show. Share this episode with them and be like, I really like this show and I think it's awesome. Because podcast discovery and growth is based on word of mouth. That's just how it is. And so please tell everybody that you love this show so that we can continue to grow.
Yeah, next time you see a snail when you're walking with your friend, you have a perfect in now.
Yeah.
Or if you lose a tooth.
Next time your friend loses a tooth, be like, current going rates for teeth, $5 to $6.
You know what you could do with that?
Yeah, you could use that to repair teeth, grow new cells. Incredible stuff.
Finally, special thanks to those listening on Nebula. Nebula listeners get access to ad-free versions of episodes and can even support us and other independent creators. To join Nebula, visit go.nebula.tv/that'sabsurdshow.
And remember, as we say at the end of every episode,
I got my teeth mixed in with my foreskin hot tub. Oh, the missus is gonna kill me.
Come on in, babe. The foreskins are fine. Just jump on into my vat of teeth like a Scrooge McDuck. Like we say at the end of every episode, magnificent mollusks make for mega monsters.
We're gonna turn these twos into clams. It's a mollusk pun.
That is a good mollusk pun.
Thank you.
That's good. I liked that.
I can't get over the idea of Jimbo the freelance fairy, and I'm just picturing like a very frumpy-looking middle-aged guy with 5 o'clock shadow in a
tiny little wings,
tank top. Yeah. The Jimbo the freelance fairy.
That's another T-shirt, you guys. Freelance Fairy Association.
Oh, it is hot tub full of foreskins.
Look, what do you need? I represent 25 different associations across 17 different metro areas, and we at the Freelance Fairy Association Alliance can pick up anything you need us to pick up from anyone, anywhere. You want us to pick up your doggy poop? You can do that. You want us to pick up your foreskins? We got it. I got a hot tub of foreskins at home already, ready to be delivered. What do you need?
We do little girls' birthday parties. If you want us to show up and make it magical, they can take little pictures with us. We won't show up on film to adult eyes. Only children can see us.